Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony, and welcome to another edition of VNA Sports Talk. And I want to talk about the Bears because I have a Bears update every month or so. I do. I'm a big Mitch Trubisky fan and a Bears fan because I'm like, I picked the Bears to win the NFC North. And a lot of people were saying the Vikings are going to win the NFC North in 2018. The Packers are going to win the NFC North. I'm like, I choose option C. I think the Bears are going to win. Then they got Khalil Mack. And ever since then, it's kind of been downhill. Now, they've gotten very lucky. A.K.A. the comeback against the Lions and then the subsequent failure of DeAndre Swift to catch that ball. They were a false team. Like, they're not a good team. And we all know that. I picked them to go 7-9 this year. And when they were 5-1, I was just like, oh, maybe they are a good team. Like, maybe they'll win 8-9 games. But, yeah, no, they fell back to reality. They played good teams. Tennessee is not that great. But we take a look at the Tennessee game. They won the time of possession. They had more first downs. They had more passing yards. They dominated the stats. You look at that box score, you think the Bears won by 14. But this is not a good team. A lot of the time, they just had garbage stats. And with Nick Foles, he is not a running quarterback. Mitch Trubisky offered some things. When the offensive line breaks down, he can run. That's the reason why they won them that Thanksgiving game. Now, I think Nick Foles is a better quarterback now, but he doesn't fit this offense. And with a Matt Nagy, he reminds me a lot of Bill O'Brien, bringing his guys. Look at coaches all around this league. What successful coaches bring in a guy to fit their system and that are successful? You know, you take a look at the Seahawks, like, oh yeah, we could use a big threat to help Russell Wilson out. Yeah, because Russell Wilson's a good quarterback. You can't have an offense predicated on smoke and mirrors, on plays that are crazy. You know, the Giants have been doing that recently, but you know that's to create a little bit of a spark. The offense is not like really that long-term sustainable. We're talking about the Giants, but you need a base offense. You need an identity, and the Bears don't have that. They don't have any identity. They're running plays that don't make any sense. They don't give the ball to David Montgomery. They're running their whole offense all around Cordarrelle Patterson, who they don't even know is a running back or a wide receiver or a punt returner. They have no idea. So obviously they're not doing a good job. Matt Nagy has had missteps, like with play calling, time clock management, and I think it is time to blow it all up. I do. I think after this year, they're going to be a 6-win, 7-win team. Maybe if they're lucky, 8. If they're lucky, for good fortune, they only won 6 games this year. And one of the final points I'll mention is they don't run the ball. Matt Nagy doesn't like running the ball. He just doesn't. And if you're the Bears, your identity has to be running the ball. You're in Chicago. You have to play to the identity of your city. You can't be this fast, high-speed attack when every single game that you play, especially in the winter, it's going to be 30-mile-an-hour winds. You can't do that. You're playing well in a dome, and you can do all that sort of thing, but you have to play to the identity of your city. When somebody comes in your house, you got to punch them in the mouth. I was saying, right before the trade deadline, you need to trade Allen Robinson. You just need to. You need to realize that you weren't a good team, and you need to start to sell off. But obviously, you can't do that as general manager and be like, yeah, we're a fraudulent team. We're 5-3, and we're not going to make the playoffs because we stink. Yeah, but it would have been smart to trade Allen Robinson. I said for the Giants, I'm like, you kind of got screwed over in this market because you have a couple teams with decent wide receivers that feel like they can compete, like, you know, the Bears, like the Lions, and then really they're not good teams, and they're not going to be able to compete, so they're not going to sell off. And, so Allen Robinson, I think he needed to go, but he ended up not. And you'll be around a 10-11 pick. You get a Zach Wilson out of BYU. Now, I think his stock is going to go way up. You know, this dude, people compare him to Patrick Mahomes. I think you have to get your quarterback here. I think it was a good move to bring in Nick Foles only for like 1 or 2 years, easily movable after this year, but get a new coach and get a new quarterback. I think what they should do is go after Brian Kelly of Notre Dame. Now, we see this with a lot of coaching hires, you know, and this is a point I always mention. You go from one extreme to the other. Jason Garrett was, you know, an offensive guy. He's offensive coordinator for the Giants. Now you go after Mike McCarthy, a guy who is more of like a leader and a guy who's going to be tone setter. Now, he has done a good job this year being a tone setter, and you know, a lot of the Cowboys players have given up pretty much. Yesterday was a little bit different, but we've seen a lot of the players have given up. They're 1-8 against the spread. You know, the Steelers always disappointing that, you know, those sort of things. But anyway, Brian Kelly, Notre Dame, they just beat Clemson. If they do really well this year, if they win a national championship, I can see him pivoting over to the NFL. And I think he does offer a lot of things. Things about Notre Dame, if they're from that area, Chicago, Notre Dame, Brian Kelly always has a good offensive line. He knows how to recruit. He knows how to spot that talent. He'll have players who go undrafted that are going to join the Bears, and I think he's going to have a strong entrance to the league. You know, you see Matt Rule. He has a strong presence, and he has the Carolina Panthers fighting hard. I mean, they almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and they've been in games more than I thought they would be. I thought Matt Rule would struggle his first year. I thought they'd go 3-13. Now they very might will, because they're 3-6. So if they lose their last 7 games, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're a 6-7 win team, and that's impressive from a Matt Rule. Brian Kelly's going to be able to bring in a pretty good coaching staff. He knows he's been around the league for a while. Now, I don't know everything about Brian Kelly. I don't know like his specific roots. I could have searched it up, but I felt like it wouldn't have been genuine in a way, because sometimes I search up these guys like, oh, they were here and here. But really, I'm like, does that add to my analysis? But I think that the Bears should go after Brian Kelly, create a foundation, create a strong suit in this locker room. Now, Nick Foles hasn't played well. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. His quarterback rating is 50. That's a scale from 1 to 100. People say, I always mention this, but people say, his QBR is 105. No, that's passer rating. It's 2 different stats. And so it's worse than a Daniel Jones. That's worse than even like a Cam Newton almost. But yeah, he hasn't been playing well. Now, obviously, it's not 100% his fault. It's not 100% of anybody's fault. Carson Wentz, he has nobody to throw to, and he has nobody on the offensive line. He's one of the worst quarterbacks. It's not Carson Wentz's fault. He's trying to make things happen. But Nick Foles, it just ain't going to do it. And, yeah, I think with Mitch Trubisky, what do you do now? You got to let him go. You got to let him, I think, go. Like, do you start Mitch Trubisky to end the season and try to create a little bit of a spark? I don't think so. I think you just ride with Nick Foles. That's it. Unless Nick Foles obviously gets injured or, gets in trouble with drugs or crime or something like that. I don't know why I just mentioned that. But, you always have contingency things. Keep Mitch Trubisky on the roster. Don't just cut him, obviously. You keep him on the roster and move forward. Now, what does this team need? Obviously, Khalil Mack. He's getting up there in age. He's no longer a spring chicken. But you also have another defensive end, Robert Quinn, who I said was a bad move to start. I'm like, you don't do that. You don't pay 2 edge rushers so much money. I think that's a really, really, really dumb decision to make. And now the Bears are starting to get into a little bit of cap hell. Now, they're right around the middle of the league as far as cap remaining. And if we go into next year, they still have Khalil Mack. He's dead money is $38 million if you want to cut him. But you have Akeem Hicks. You'll have, I think, Eddie Goldman's going to return. You have some pieces on this team. Danny Trevathan, I believe, just signed a deal. Eddie Jackson hasn't been playing that well as of late. He's the highest paid safety in the league now. The thing is, you're going to have to start drafting really well. Really well. And they have been doing that. Obviously, the 2 picks in the second round this year may be a franchise saver in a way. But you have to have a guy, Ryan Pace out, and a guy that's going to be able to draft really well, bring in guys that are going to be successful to this team. You have a first-round pick. You go after a quarterback. You get your guy, and you have a decent amount of talent around this team. But again, Brian Kelly, you just start the rebuild. You have to. And that at this point, that's what it is. The Bears, they have a good time of possession. You have a running back that feels like it's banged up now, but you can always go after a guy like that. Tariq Cohen will be coming back. So this team obviously has a decent amount of talent to it. I think you just need coaching. They tried it this year. They tried to bring in a Juan Castillo. They tried to bring in a certain guy, but I think just reset it. You're in a division now with the Minnesota Vikings who are struggling, with the Lions that are struggling, with the Green Bay Packers who look like they're resurging. But I think you just got to reset. And that's what I would do. Let me know what you guys think. Should the Bears reset? Or should they keep Nick Foles and double down and keep all their coaches? But I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.